You're the best. All right.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the October 9th, 2024 meeting of the Fond du Lac City Council. The first item of business is roll call, which is done electronically, and I will declare a quorum is present with Mr. Godfrey absent. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, which is followed by a moment of silent reflection. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our agenda is public hearings, and tonight we have the public hearing for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. If you're wishing to speak on the grant for the public hearing, you did not need to sign up in advance. So I will ask, is there anyone wishing to speak on the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant? Again, is there anyone who wishes to speak on the grant? And for a third and final time, is there anyone who wishes to speak on this grant? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing is closed. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda finalizes the proposed actions for the meeting: A, September 18th, 2024 special meeting minutes; B, September 25th, 2024 regular council minutes; and C, list of claims dated October 2nd, 2024. Are there any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Schussler and second by Mr. Mullen. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Next on our agenda is audience comments, agenda and non-agenda items. The presiding officer will limit speaking time for non-agenda items to 1 minute and items noticed on the agenda to 5 minutes. Ms. Hefter, do we have anyone wishing to speak? We do, and we do have a number of people who wish to speak on various topics, all of which I believe are non-agenda items, so just letting you know you will have 1 minute, and then I will have to ask you to stop to move on to the next person. And so I'll try to say the name of the first person and then the two people behind them, just so you can be ready to get up and speak. So we will start with Michael Ketterhagen, who wishes to speak on the housing plan and homeless needs, followed by Mary Ketterhagen and Joyce Gao. So if you could just be prepared.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. First of all, I know many of you from other times together, and I thank you for being my representative. The 2 points I have. You are not just my representative, you also represent the homeless. And I want to very much connect the homeless situation with the housing report. There's nothing in the housing report that deals specifically with the homeless. It deals with all the issues pertaining to government subsidy loans and things like that, but there's nothing specifically to really help the homeless be involved. The homeless need to be part of the planning. They also need to be part of the discussions. They're a very intelligent group of people out there in the homeless community. And also, you need to realize that there are a lot of little things going on already throughout the state. They're called tiny houses. Those tiny houses are really a significant way for us to help the homeless. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Mr. Ketterhagen. So next we'll have Mary Ketterhagen, followed by Joyce Gao, and then James Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ketterhagen. I'm a St. Vincent de Paul home visitor and a member of Holy Family Catholic Community. There's a long-held belief by many in our society that the churches and nonprofits should be providing for the needs of the homeless and the vulnerable in our city. These churches and nonprofits have been assuming that responsibility for decades and are now unable to keep up with the needs. For example, the Fond du Lac Food Pantry, founded by the Fond du Lac Ministerial Association in 1983, 73, excuse me, has been housed at Our Savior Lutheran Church, St. Joseph Catholic Church, and St. Paul's Cathedral until its current location on Rolling Meadows Drive. There are several other programs provided by the churches. Broken Bread, St. Paul's Cathedral, 60 meals per week. Holy Family Warming Shelter, 1,000 meals in its first season. St. Catherine Drexel, over 100,000 meals in its first year. Loaves and Fishes, Blessed Bites. As you can see, our churches have taken these needs seriously. We believe that it is time for the City Council to prioritize these issues as an ongoing budget item. If this is not done,
I'm sorry, Ms. Ketterhagen, thank you, but your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Joyce Gow, followed by James Thomas and Nancy Thomas.
I'd like to share my concerns on the housing study that was presented at a September meeting. Again, the unsheltered were not represented in that, and it seems like there was quite a reaction to this population at one of the previous meetings. Council seemed to be pressured by the audience, respondents, and staff at times to act immediately on the safety code that was developed in the input section of the agenda. I would just urge council to take a breath and please next time consider the impact of your vote with your other constituents who do not have the information at that time. Just take a breath. We don't want something to seem like it's rotten in Denmark, according to Shakespeare. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the next speakers will be speaking about a vicious dogs. We have James Thomas, then Nancy Thomas, and Scott Wempner.
Vicious dogs. Municipal Code 216.6G. No person shall own or possess in the city an animal of vicious disposition. On August 10th, my dog was attacked by my next door neighbor's pit bull, off leash, off lead, came over. It saw my dog, immediately ran over and attacked her. It jumped on top of her. A 14-year-old border collie can barely walk, and it viciously and maliciously continued attacking my dog, trying to grab her jugular vein, trying to lift her off the ground. My dog fought heroically. This thing kept biting and clawing and clamping on down her body, lifting her in the air, shaking her all about. You've got pictures of her wounds. If that isn't vicious, malicious proof, I don't know what is. My dog somehow survived that. She walked away, limped away, but we did our best, my wife and I, to keep her alive. She had to suffer all through a weekend because there's no veterinarian, no animal control in Fond du Lac. We get her to the vet on Monday. She gets stitched up, and eventually, 5 days later, we had to put her down because she had been degloved. Degloved means you've been skinned alive. It pulled her skin away from all her organs, and she died a horrible, miserable death that didn't need to be. I've been calling, writing, emailing, everything I can, and not getting a response to take care of this vicious dog. It needs to be gone. It's terrorizing our neighborhood.
Mr. Thomas, it's been 1 minute, sorry. Thank you. So next we have Nancy Thomas, followed by Scott Wempner and Greg Bemis.
Okay. For almost 40 years while working in the healthcare industry, I've felt that it was better to identify with people on a more personal level when I was able to remember them by face. This is Bailey. On a quiet evening on August 10th at approximately 6:30 p.m., the quiet, peaceful life I have known for the past 22 years changed. After warnings for the past 7 months from my new neighbor, Terry Campbell, that his dog was going to kill my dog, it happened. After more than a dozen phone calls to the police, an officer finally came to our house, and my husband and I were told that everyone has the right to own a pet. What about our rights as residents of Elmakers Drive? I lost the right to feel safe in my own yard. Our neighbors lost the right to play with their grandchildren in their yards. Kids lost the right to ride their bikes and scooters around the circle safely. Children lost the right to exercise in a safe place to train for school events, and neighbors and pet owners lost the right to walk in our once safe circle. Why do good people continue to lose their rights while irresponsible people continue to own an animal that is dangerous to all of us? The only thing that Terry Campbell has ever said to me that was right since he moved into my circle was he said, Dawn and I will not be getting a Christmas card from our new neighbor after Duke kills their dog. When do our rights matter?
Ms. Thomas, I'm going to have to ask you to stop. Thank you. Next, we have Scott Wempner, followed by Greg Bemis and Steve Ahrens.
Yeah, I live in 76 Elm Acres. I went over the night over to Jim and Nancy's house and looked at the dog. It was terrible. Chewed up pretty terrible. I mean, it was bad. Um, I have a dog. I have a grandson. We walk that neighborhood all the time. There are other kids in that neighborhood. You know, I've been a pet owner my whole life. If anything, or a dog did that to anybody's animal or did it to anybody else, I'd put it down. I would not own a dog that was that vicious. You know, and it's not right. That neighborhood has a bunch of children in it, and they've done nothing. They've done nothing to protect that court over there. So, yeah, I don't feel safe. I told my mom watches the dog once in a while. I said, don't even walk in the neighborhood. You know, my wife walks that all the time. Our grandson, we walk him around the court. You know, I got to carry a baseball bat with me when I walk around the court. That's not right, you know. Somebody needs to do something about that dog, you know, and that's my feeling. Like I said, I've been a pet owner my whole life. If
Thank
I had
you.
an animal that did that, no way.
Thank you, Mr. Webner. Next, we have Greg Bemis, followed by Steve Aarons, and then Michael.
All I can say is I don't, my kids are gone, but I have my grandkids come over, and all three of my grandkids come over, and they bring their dogs with them. They're afraid to come to our neighborhood now and afraid to walk around the dogs around the neighborhood because of what happens. My grandkids are 11 and 9, so they take that with a grain of heart. They're girls, and it's very sensitive to them because they can't come now and walk around the block. We watch the dogs for our grandkids, and they make sure every time, don't take the dog out. Don't let the dog in the front yard. Don't let the dog go around the circle. Don't walk him anywhere. We can't even, the kids are afraid, and they're not from town, but all of us are here. You can see the support of our circle that's here tonight, how much this means to us and what's happened there and what has happened to Jim and Nancy, and it's way too bad, and it sure should not be allowed. If this dog lives somewhere around anybody else, I guess we are really curious because Jim's been working that hard to try to get to come to this meeting, and nobody has even answered him on that. So I don't have much else to say, but I think you guys got to really take this into a lot of consideration with all the people that are there and what to do about this dog.
Thank you. Next, we have Steve Aarons, Michael Ciasic, and Tom Teofilo. So now, Mr. Aarons.
Good evening. I've lived in the neighborhood for over 25 years, but recently I no longer feel safe. A vicious dog near my home has changed everything by mauling a senior dog who lived across from my home. Neighbors no longer walk with their children or pets around the circle. I don't use my front yard or porch and feel unsafe doing yard work. The owner of this dog even warned me that his dog would attack, and he was right. Yet city ordinances are not strong enough to protect us from this dog who continues to live in my neighborhood. Other cities have stricter ordinances or regulations for aggressive breeds. After a vicious attack like this, an evaluation of the dog should have been mandatory. Mr. Campbell has the right to own a dog, however, so does everyone that lives in our neighborhood, including the Thomases. Council members, please use Bailey's death as a wake-up call. It's time to review and strengthen the city ordinances to protect both people and pets from vicious dogs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Michael, and I'm so sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Ciasic? Chichek. Thank you. Then we'll have Tom Teofilo and Dean Waldschmidt will be third. So Mr. Chiachek? Chichek. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
All right. A week before their dog was attacked, I went to take my dog for a walk. I got even with the dog that did the attack. The woman had it on a leash in the garage. It dragged her across the street, growling, barking viciously, trying to attack me and my dog. She finally stopped at 5 feet within us. The only response she said was, "Another freaking dog in this neighborhood." Never apologized. Turned around, walked back to her house. When I walk now, I carry a baseball bat. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next, we have Tom Teofilo, followed by Dean Waldschmidt and Julie Waldschmidt.
My wife and I and our kids have lived in Elm Acres for almost 27 years. It's always been a close-knit community. It's a circle drive. We all feel have always felt comfortable, safe. We know our neighbors, people are helpful. It's a great place. It has been a great place to be. After the vicious dog attack, we don't feel safe walking around. I used to walk around at all hours of the day. Our kids would ride their bikes around. I have our oldest daughter, when she comes to visit, she has 2 dogs and a 1-year-old little boy. She's not going to walk them around the circle now. She just does not feel safe. Our youngest daughter, who lives with us, loves to ride her bike around the circle. She doesn't feel safe doing that as well. We don't feel comfortable that the owners will do the right thing. So that's why we're here. We're wanting you to do the right thing for us so we can all feel safe in our little community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dean Waldschmidt, followed by Julie Waldschmidt and Deb Grinwald.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you. I have 2 items just to share. One, I have a 37-year-old daughter who's battling cancer, who lives with us at 32 Elmakers Drive. She has a little dog. She used to take that dog for walks in the circle. She doesn't do that anymore for fear that she will be attacked and her dog will be attacked. Secondly, I have a 5-year-old grandson who doesn't live with us but comes and visits. He has special needs and loves dogs. He would not, if that dog was anywhere near him, he would naturally, that's his way, go toward that dog. I can't take him for walks in the circle anymore. For my fear that the neighbor's dog will attack us, the Campbells have told us not to let our children or animals near their dog. What is going to protect us and our children if the Campbell's dog gets loose again? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next, we have Julie Waldschmidt, followed by Deb Grinwald and Ron Ahrens.
It's a matter of time. I am Julie Waldschmidt, and I live at 32 Elmakers Drive. I have lived in this beautiful city all my life. Our lives changed drastically and now continually when the Campbells and their killer dog moved into our neighborhood a few months ago. We now live in fear every day, and I ask that you try to put yourself and your families in our shoes. With only a minute to speak, I chose to give the latest incident that I witnessed this past Sunday. It's a matter of time. This past Sunday, I witnessed 2 Boy Scouts at the Campbell's front door as they were selling Christmas wreaths in our neighborhood. The door opened and out lunged the killer dog at these innocent children. The owner held him back by his collar. The children both immediately flew back off the door step and left quickly. I called to them to come over to me. I said, "Are you okay?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "Are you scared?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "Do you feel that dog would have attacked you?" And they said, "Yes." It's a matter of time. My heart went to their parents who had no idea they were letting their children go into a neighborhood to sell Christmas wreaths. And a dog could have literally attacked and hurt them terribly. This needs to stop. This shows the Campbells' constant irresponsibility.
Thank you.
This dog needs to be evaluated, in our opinion, euthanized.
Thank you, Ms. Waldschmidt. Next, we have Deb Grinwald, followed by Ron Ahrens, and then John Oberg.
Good evening. My name is Debbie. I've lived in the neighborhood for 24 years and never experienced anything like this. It breaks my heart what they are going through. I have 2 dogs of my own, and we walk around the circle every single day. And now it frightens me. Every time we go past their house, we have to make sure their garage door's not open because I'm afraid they're going to let the dog out. It just breaks my heart. I don't know what else we're going to do. Please help us in this manner. We need some assistance because we're not getting anywhere else. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Next, we have Ron Ahrens, followed by John Oberg, and then Mary Johnson.
My name is Ron Ahrens, and we live at 25 Elmakers Drive for 39 years. On August the 10th, our neighbor's dog, the Thomases, was attacked and killed by a vicious, uncontrollable dog, which lived right next door. There aren't words to cover the pain and disappointment the Thomases must have in their heart, knowing that this dog who attacked their dog for no reason at all is still living next door and enjoying all the amenities the Campbells can give him. There are 24 families living in Elmakers, and 95% take advantage of walking their dog, children, and those that have to exercise because of doctor's orders. We never had neighbors that were afraid to walk past their house or carry mace, a bat, or some other device to protect themselves if this dog would ever get loose. The city's code we all are familiar with, and that says that we should destroy any domestic animal that represents a threat and serious harm to human beings.
Thank you. Next, we have John Oberg, followed by Mary Johnson, and then Paul Ray, who wishes to speak about the safety code.
My name is John Oberg. I've lived on 35 Elm Acres Drive for 25 years. We had a very friendly neighborhood, and believe me, the audacity of these new people coming on the circle and telling everybody to keep their animal in, keep their children off the streets, while they have the ability to be able to walk around with their dog almost loose. That's what they did the first few days they were in that circle. I don't know what's going to happen, but believe me, when I see the children riding around the circle, having great fun, and all of a sudden I don't see them anymore, something's wrong. But I think that dog should be put down. And if this city needs help in putting it down, I'm ready and able to do it. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Mary Johnson, followed by Paul Ray and Roseanne Coal.
Many of us have grandchildren who visit and stay with us from time to time. Many of these children bring their pets when they visit their grandparents, and these children are used to cats and dogs. These children will often pet and play with any cat or dog that they see. I'm concerned that if a child lifts a hand to pet this dog, the dog will go in the defensive and bite the child. And remember, this dog does not stop at one bite. We can't go to the owner of the dog because when he was told that the neighbor's dog was put to sleep, euthanized, he said, "Good." You may ask, why hasn't this dog bitten any other dog or child? The answer is, this is a new neighbor. The minimum the dog can do right away is to put a muzzle on his dog in case he leaves his yard like he did before to kill the neighbor's dog. I suppose the city council has to decide if more dogs or children need to be attacked before it can act. I pray that some action is taken so that we can have a safe neighborhood again.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. That's been 1 minute.
Family, pet or child is hurt in the meantime.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Ray, who wishes to speak on the safety code, then Roseanne Coal, who wishes to speak on homelessness, followed by Jim Davenport, who also wishes to speak on homelessness.
Hi, my name is Paul Rao. Thank you for listening to me. It's obvious that we have a homeless problem, as do many cities across our nation. Knowing that our community has proven to be generous and compassionate, we need to find a solution that respects the dignity of all. Nonprofit organizations have been forced to cease helping the vulnerable in our city because funds have been exhausted. Aside from the shelters, there is no current help available. It's time to collaborate and take action. The first step must be to form a group including city and county government, nonprofits, churches, businesses, and most importantly, the homeless. The homeless must be included because we cannot assume what all their needs are, and their perspective is important. When this body passed the safety code affecting the homeless, not only were the homeless not represented, but neither were most of your constituents. I hope that in the future, the City Council consults all interested parties before passing an ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. Next, we have Roseanne Coal and Jim Davenport.
Thank you. You're on the way down here tonight. I was coming down Macy Street, and I look off and I see Cindy just sitting there watching the sun as it's coming down. Cindy is homeless. I've met her many times along the way. There are other people like that who are out there that are homeless. They deserve our respect. They are also accountable for any actions that they may do that are against the law or may harm others or themselves. But our homeless within the city of Fond du Lac, they need all our support, and especially housing. Whatever can be done for them, I hope that the city council will be including that in your plans for development within Fond du Lac itself, so we have affordable housing for all of our homeless, and especially for our elderly who are on fixed incomes, and as those go up, they're afraid that they will become homeless because they can't afford the rent. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jim Davenport is the last person that we had signed up for public comment.
Thank you. I am a home visitor with St. Vincent de Paul. You may or may not know that the St. Vincent de Paul Holy Family Conference provides rental assistance, utility bill assistance, grocery store vouchers, laundry vouchers, bus tokens, vouchers to the St. Vincent de Paul store, and many other requests for our neighbors in need. Well, St. Vincent de Paul has depleted its financial resources and at this time is unable to help with any of these needs. How great are these needs? This year, from January 1st through August 31st, at which time the funds were depleted, St. Vincent de Paul received 2,322 calls for assistance. In response, 1,854 households were provided with help. That included rental assistance given in the amount of $117,700. That helps some of our neighbors remain in their homes and avoid homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our audience comments, and I just do want to offer a thank you to all of you who spoke tonight. Thank you very much. And yes, you do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting, for the rest of our business if you don't wish to, but you are welcome to stay. Next, we'll move on to our action items. Action item A is resolution number 9145, a resolution reviewing and approving grant application from the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant JAG program. Our introduction is by our Chief of Police, Chief Goldstein.
Thanks, President Brault. So the Bureau of Justice Assistance Grant, we are eligible for $12,179. This is a formula grant, so it is based on our population size and our Part 1 violent crimes, and there is no match funding requirement. We have applied for this grant many times in the past, and this year we are looking to use the grant funding to purchase a 3D camera system for crime scene and fire scene documentation. The easiest way I can explain it, if you've seen the 3D, if you do any type of housing, or if you look at venues for weddings, or if you're looking at renderings, that would be that same type of camera system that will capture everything inside. So this grant will allow us to purchase nearly all of that system and only have a little bit of our operating in to finish that project.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chief Goldstein? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Mr. Heisler and second by Mr. Zimmerman. Are there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Item B is resolution number 9146, a resolution approving the 2025 Business Improvement District Operating Plan with supporting bid tax rate, and our introduction is by our City Manager, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is related to the presentation you received from the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership a few meetings ago. So tonight, before you use a resolution to approve the tax rate for all the properties in the Business Improvement District. That tax rate would be $2.60 per 1,000. And there are a couple of details along with that. There's a floor of $150 and a ceiling of $3,000. And so those are the primary revenue sources for the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership. I recommend approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Moore? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Schisler. And second by Mr. Mullen. Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Item C is ordinance number 3801, an ordinance amending Chapter 630, Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the City of Fond du Lac to revise parking restrictions on South Military Road. And our introduction is by our Public Works Director, Mr. DeVries.
Thank you, President Brault. So this ordinance would establish or extend a no parking zone on South Military Road. It is near the intersection of Hickory Street, which is currently being reconstructed. When we were designing this intersection, the left turn lane for northbound on Military is too short, and there's a lot of truck traffic that goes through there. So we want to extend that left turn lane, and that would require us to add an additional no parking zone, which is shown in green on your map. So City Engineering recommended approval. Parking and Traffic Board also recommended approval. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. DeVries? I'm not seeing any. I do have a question. Did you receive any questions or comments from nearby property owners? No. Okay. All right. With that, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of 3801.
Motion by Mr. Heisler. And second by Mr. Mullen. Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. With that, that ends our action items, and so we do not have any input items, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Zimmerman, second by Mr. Heisler. This is not debatable. Please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. We are adjourned.